I'm going to upset Husker Nation by telling you who the most important player on the roster is.
You are Locked On Huskers, your daily podcast on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, gang, DB here, Locked On Huskers. Thank you for making Locked On Huskers the first watch and listen each and every single day. Greatly appreciate it. And to you everydayers, I applaud you. I applaud you. I applaud you. I want to thank the folks from Birddogs. And look, if you're talking about the shorts that you can wear to the golf course, you can wear the same shorts to a meeting, on a date, or just hanging out with friends. They fit better. They make you look better. Keep the legs looking nice. They're super comfy. Birddogs. Go check it out there. Birddogs.com/locked-on-college. I wanted to spend this episode just kind of painting the picture. And the season allows for us to put focus on certain players because those players are important to the end result, to the success of Nebraska football. And this really is about the players who will have the most impact in a positive way. I'm not going to deal with the negative or dwell on the negative. It's on the positive aspects and what they can do for this team. And so I came up with 10. Again, you can do the math, you project starters, you project playmakers, you project people who have an impact. But we'll go through this, and I want it to be fair. So we'll start on offense, then we'll go to defense. And yes, I'm going to be fair because I'm going to pick 5 on offense and 5 on defense. Now, you can put yours down. If you haven't subscribed, do so it registers and shows up. But tell me who the 5 most important offensive players are. Quick, scribble, get your notes done. Go ahead and do that because here we go. At number 5, Marcus Washington. The return of Washington speaks volumes in that it's a holdover and it provides a big-time player, a player who's been through those moments. They know where everything is on campus. They know the protocols. They know the procedures. They know how to get from point A to point B. He can lead a room of veteran receivers. Yes, Xavier Betts is in the room. Yes, Billy Kemp is in the room. Joshua Fleeks is in the room. But what this allows is having a player who was just recently here and is aware of what's going on in the community around it. Number 4, I have to be clear. Thomas Fidone has to show up and has to produce this year for the Huskers. One, the expectation is one thing. All of the hype that was behind the signing of the top tight end in high school. But injuries have a way of humbling folks, and that's really what injuries are for. It is to tell you in the work that you're doing that you need to change some of the work that you're doing in order to become sound, solid, and be able to produce. And my buddy Jay Foreman likes to say availability is the greatest asset that you have. And quite frankly, Thomas Fidone has not been available to Nebraska football. He's been in the program. He hasn't been there within games to make plays, but we've seen next to zero production, and it's big. It's big. Like no matter who's playing quarterback, no matter what happens, Thomas Fidone has to put up numbers for the Huskers. At the end of the season, if we're talking about another season without Thomas Fidone producing and without him putting big plays on the field and being a big playmaker in big games, then this season will not have been the success story that we were hoping for. Thomas Fidone at 4, absolutely necessary. At 3, I want to put this in play because I need you to grasp what I'm about to say here. I wavered between Adam Scott and Teddy Prohaska, but I'm going to go with this. We're already counting on Scott to anchor this defense, this offensive line. We're counting on Scott to do so. whether Prohaska plays or not changes this football team. Changes. And if you haven't figured out that health matters, it can be said for Thomas Fidone. It also has to be said for Teddy Prohaska. If Teddy Prohaska plays every game at left tackle, Nebraska football will be better than it was a year ago. I'll repeat that because that's how important it is. If Teddy Prohaska plays every game for Nebraska, he starts, plays, and finishes every game for Nebraska, Nebraska will be a better team than it was a year ago. He provides solidarity. He understands what's being asked of him. He looks the part. He fits the part when he plays into a teams who actually scheme against him if he's out on the field. And it takes some of the pressure off the rest of the offensive line. It also makes two positions of question better because it means that you have two former starters fighting over one offensive starting job. That's how important Teddy Prohaska is. If he plays left tackle, then Ben Hart is on the other side competing for a job with another starter. And it frees up Norrie and Scott to hold it down. Piper would be in question. Tanner Corcoran would be in question. Two of those three would be starting. And the other one gives you a quality backup that plays several positions who's also started Big Ten games for Nebraska. That's how important Teddy Prohaska is. He's third most. Number 2, drum roll. Yeah, he's that running back. And I'm going to say this because it's not the running back you think. Or it may not be. It's Gabe Ervin. We have some idea about what we're getting from Anthony Grant. And if Anthony Grant gives us everything that he gave us a year ago, Nebraska fans are happy. They're satisfied. Basically a 1,000-yard season plus or minus a few yards, some big play opportunities. But if Nebraska is going to be great this season offensively, Gabe Ervin has to produce. He has to stay healthy. He has to be on the field. And if I'm giving you a message, it's on purpose that all of the players that we've talked about have to be on the field for Nebraska to start games and finish games throughout the entire season for Nebraska to have success offensively. If any of the 4 that I've named do not complete the season healthy, do not play the majority of the plays, and are not having the level of success that Nebraska fans want, need, and hope for, then Nebraska as a team won't be successful. You know why? Because if those 4 players don't have the best collegiate careers that they've ever had, the most important player on the offense cannot be successful. Jeff Sims will tell the story and the tale of Nebraska offensively this season. And the same disclaimers put into effect. Jeff Sims has to start every game, has to play every game, and has to finish every game for Nebraska to be successful offensively in this coming season. He puts his foot in the ground. He runs the ball. He moves the chains. Listen, if he's making bad throws, he won't be the guy. If he's taking too many hits, he won't be the guy. But if he's got a healthy Prohaska and a healthy Washington and a healthy Fidone and a healthy Gabe Ervin, his job becomes easier and he makes all of them better. He makes all of them better. He's the one player on the team who can make all 4 of those other players better and as good as they need to be for Nebraska to win in the Big Ten Conference. That's the offensive side of the ball. We will jump to the defensive side of the ball. Woo-wee! Lots to come talk about when we get back to Locked On Huskers. Hey, gang, again, want to thank the folks from Birddogs for what they do for us. We'll throw it to Mark Onweiler and let him tell you more about Birddogs.
Thanks, DP. Guys, I want to tell you about a new sponsor for Locked On College, Birddogs. Birddogs has shorts, they have pants, they have polos. gym shorts, Oxfords, khakis, all sorts of things for your entire life. I started wearing them. I look better and I feel great when I'm wearing them. They've got these nice stretchy fabric and built-in liners, keep your boys there in place. They give me versatility throughout the day. I can wear them to the gym, I can wear them to the office, I can wear them around the house. I love them, but really the only way for you to experience them yourself is to try them yourself. You can take my word for it or you can give it a shot. And for now, go to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege, enter the promo code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word. They'll throw in a free custom Birddogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. Go try them out. Find that the website's a hoot. They've got little comics and funny names and all sorts of great stuff. So just go to the website and experience that. But try the shorts, try the pants, pre-order the polos, see for yourself over at birddogs.com/lockedoncollege. DP, back to you.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you and the folks from Bird Dogs. We were talking about the most important players, and we got 5 on offense. Now we're going to go through 5 on defense. And I'm going to spin your head a little bit because a lot of it is projecting talent onto players that we have not seen at the University of Nebraska. But that also plays into why they're extremely important to the University of Nebraska and its football success. It's absolutely necessary. Now, a player who is important to Nebraska, who we do know something about. I'll say this. Ty Robinson is important. He's hugely important. A 3-3-5 defense requires an anchor in the middle. There has to be durability. There has to be strength. There has to be game-changing, line of scrimmage changing, energy-changing play in the middle of this 3-3-5. And Ty Robinson, in an ideal, checks all the boxes. He fits all the molds that are required, has the size, has the strength. Now, will he be able to hold the individual responsibilities required by Tony White and this defense? But if the anchor isn't steady, if the foundation isn't good, then the rest of the defense will fluctuate. This defense will only be as good as it is up front and in the middle. Winning one half of the field at the point of impact is important in the 3-3-5 defense. Sitting on the nose at whatever angle you're going to play at, or whether you're playing nose up, whatever's ball side, you have to set the anchor and the foundation for one half of the field to be defended and the other half shut down. That's how important that is. Do you want to defend from sideline to sideline, or do you want to defend from ball to one sideline? That starts with Ty Robinson. Listen, being healthy, recovering from off-season, getting the work in, he needs to be out there and learn who his teammates are around him and what their talents are and what their skill sets are, to learn whether he can put in the number of snaps that Tony White is going to ask of him or need of him. But Ty Robinson is just vastly important to this defense. Why? Because the Huskers went out and got several players to play on the boundary and play on the edge. One of them is extremely important. They're all important, but this one ranks a little bit higher on the scale as far as I'm concerned. MJ Sherman is vital in his ability. If you look back at his film at Georgia and you looked at him in the spring game, his ability to use his hands to set an edge and then reestablish the line of scrimmage in the opponent's backfield. For him to shed blockers and for him to occupy 2 blockers so it frees up other defenders to go make plays. He is a hit-and-run wrecking ball. Impact at the line of scrimmage, being violent, being volatile, and then getting his jet on and running down and running through an offensive player with the ball. MJ Sherman will be bettered by a healthy Ty Robinson. He will be better because of it. And why is he important? Well, to have that sort of talent with that sort of resume, with that sort of experience, playing in big games, playing in national championships, plural, playing in conference championships, plural, playing in the SEC, where you see the monsters and mastodons and you see these incredible creatures that he has to face and run through. And then, listen, quite frankly, we would say that, the running backs in the SEC are pretty good. Big Ten has some runners. But being able to shed the offensive linemen and the edge setters in the Big Ten Conference and then getting downhill and shutting down running backs, pretty important. MJ Sherman is number 4 for me. At number 3, I want to stay in this lane because, as I talked about with offense, we need people who start the season, play the season, and finish the season. We have to ask the question, what are we getting from Nick Heinrich? If he plays at his max capacity, at his optimum health, he then allows Tony White to do some things schematically that we haven't seen in Nebraska for the last couple of years. Being able to have a guy who's solid enough and profound enough to move and flex so that you can play him over the center. You could play him in the A gap or B gap. You could play him at extremes, and you could play him in a blitzing situation. And it's important because he's now going to get one-on-one blocking. Teams aren't going to be able to double up and load on him, especially if Ty Robinson's taking on a center and putting him flat back. Then you've got MJ Sherman, who hopefully is getting one-on-one somewhere on an edge where he's more athletic and more graceful than the person who's trying to block him. And then that would free up Heinrich to be able to become the playmaker that we dream of. There'll be some situations where Sherman and Heinrich are on the same side. There'll be times when you can move him off the hip of Ty Robinson and create some more havoc and make teams go across the field rather than upfield. Heinrich is important. His health is important. But his knowledge and experience will be worth it if we can get him on the field, keep him on the field, and let him finish on the field. And why? Because if he's playing well next to Ty Robinson, if he's playing next in coordination with MJ Sherman, if Heinrich is doing all that, then number 2 gets to excel. And it takes burden off of him. Luke Reimers is just incredibly important because he, in this 3-3-5, his ability to line up at any one of 4 spots on the field on this defense helps take some of the burden off him, that he won't have to take on 320-pound mastodons from play to play. He won't have to battle 260-pound tight ends all the time. Will take some of the burden and allow Reimers to be the run and hit linebacker that he proclaims. And if you can alternate and flex Reimers and Heinrich, sometimes inside, sometimes outside, you make it difficult for offenses to know what it is you're doing or what you're trying to do. But he needs to be healthy. Heinrich and Reimers need to finish the season. And that's not through playing passively or not being physical. It means being more physical and being more proactive in how they play the game so that they are the hammer and not the nail. It is important for them both to play as though they are the hammers, to be purposefully violent. They cannot accept the blows that they've taken in the past couple of years. That leads us to the most important Husker defensively. And this young man, I have to say it that way because he's a young man, having a shutdown corner, having an experienced athlete on a corner who allows you to be flexible with some of the other players. And again, there's a bunch of players that we haven't talked about who are extremely important. But Malcolm Hartzog is the player that allows Tony White to do some things from down and distance and situation in single coverage with Hartzog against the top receivers from the Big Ten Conference. Because if he's handling his business and taking away in quick, short pressure on short routes, taking away an easy throw for Big Ten quarterbacks and allowing Sherman and Ty Robinson and Reimer and Heinrich to get pressure, then the Huskers defense looks different. His ability to play in the zone and to jump routes on those long throws from inside the hash for quarterbacks. Look, that's how you impact the Big Ten Conference. Yes, he is relying upon this Nebraska defense to get pressure. He's relying upon the linebackers to control traffic in front of him and reroute some guys and give those other bigs time to get home. But Malcolm Hartzog may be the best defensive player on this team. And I think he is that important to Tony White and what he wants to do in the 3-3-5. We'll throw it to break there. When we come back, we'll close out because, we can't talk Husker football without talking about the special teams. I wouldn't dare. Once again, thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. Put your comments down the bottom if there's a subject you want me to talk about, if there's a player you want me to talk about. I know that later this week we'll get into some of the seniors who are making their final runs, whether it be in football, but other sports as well. We'll talk about some of those. But I wanted to close out this episode. Husker fans have a real appreciation for the kicking game and special teams. And it was recent history where every time a kicker ran onto the field, Husker Nation collectively held their breath. They inhaled, some of them crossed their fingers, most closed their eyes, and they raised them to the sky and just said, please, 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 please. Like we didn't have moments where we worried about a snap ball, four hopping back to the holder. We're not facing any of that. And we feel pretty good about the importance of the special teams for this Husker team because it's an opportunity for if a program is down, a quick way to improve is through special teams. A bad team is never good on special teams. That is a constant and consistent. But there are some important Huskers. And I think the opportunity plays out. One, an important Husker. I didn't put him on offense for this very reason, but Billy Kipp the fourth and Joshua Fleeks, both of them as receivers. Xavier Betts. Those players will have an opportunity in the return game to be exceptional. And Billy Kipp has high volume numbers in returns, kickoff returns and punt returns. Fleeks can do both of them. They may be receivers 1B and 1C in the offense, but they also can contribute in special teams in the return game. Bleak Road and Buscemi, listen, for the first time in the 4 years that I've been here, I feel comfortable in that the kicking game is going to be competent, not only competent, but successful. Successful. And when you have long snappers under scholarship, you have a depth of players. You have the Javen Wrights, you have the Bullocks, you have the Gunnarsons who will occupy special team space where you've got enough depth, enough talent, and guys like Tommy Hill. There's some numbers out there. Nebraska should be better in special teams than they have been in the last 4 years. That is the expectation. That is the hope. I know some of you will sigh and exhale and say, well, we'll wait and see, DP. I'm not giving them that yet. That's fine and that's fair. But the four most important players on the special teams, they are there and they exist. The two kickers and the two kick returners. Nebraska has a chance to be really good on special teams. Not saying they will be. They have the chance. They have the talent. We'll check the boxes as they come true. Again, thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. We'll close with the three words that we love so much. Go Big Red.